don't give away your special. Never give away your special. You know, you don't even know sometimes that thing that makes you stand out. And it feels really risky to stand out, especially when you're younger and when nobody's maybe necessarily validating parts of yourself. But that special thing, that thing that makes you uniquely you, is the thing that's going to cause you to rise above the tide.
Every meaningful transformation starts with a risk. The risk to leave what's comfortable, bet on ourselves, and believe your life could be bigger. I'm Terry Gioma, financial educator, trading expert, and author. Welcome to the Risk Worth Taking podcast. Each week, I talk with inspiring guests about the pivotal risks that changed their lives, the moments they faced fear, uncertainty, or doubt and chose courage anyway. My hope is to help you think bigger, move smarter, and take the risk that could change your life too.
Today we're sitting down with Uzo Aduba, a 3-time Emmy Award winner and Tony Award nominee. Uzo has captivated audiences from Orange is the New Black to Netflix's The Residents. She's also an author, producer, and storyteller whose career has been defined by bold choices and a deep sense of authenticity. Today, we'll explore the risks that shaped her journey and why staying true to yourself is the greatest risk worth taking.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Risk Worth Taking podcast. I'm your host, Terry Gioma, and today I have the wonderful Uzo Aduba. She is an Emmy-winning actress and so much more. And can I tell you, I am so proud of you because you are Nigerian.
Yes.
And you are representing for all of us. I mean, I know sometimes it could be the pressure to represent for a whole nation, but I see you and I'm like, I'm so proud.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me today.
Of course.
Thank you.
So, as you know, this podcast came from the book, The Risk Worth Taking.
Yes.
And in the book, there's a girl named Erin. She has a toxic work environment, but she quits and she starts traveling around the world. Mm-hmm. But she takes several risks, from leaving her job to traveling to starting on this new adventure of investing. So I believe that a lot of other people will be encouraged by our stories too.
Yeah.
And you've taken a lot of risk in your life as well.
Yes.
What do you think is the biggest risk that's paid off in your life?
I think the biggest risk that has paid off for me was choosing my dream that I had for me versus choosing the dreams other people wanted to place on me. You know, I think growing up in a Nigerian household, my parents were actually very supportive of me pursuing this, or else they're like the best actors who ever lived. But they were.
I mean, that might be where you got it from.
Yeah, exactly. But like, they were truly supportive of me. But some of my extended family were very shocked because I thought I was going to be a lawyer for most of my life.
Right.
And so when I started to really feel this passion to go into the arts, and then decided to go to art school, they were really blown away. And, you know, I remember I had an uncle say to me at my high school graduation, he said, so what will you be doing? You know, and right. I said, singing, and said, singing, just ordinary singing. And I was like, yes. And he said, I thought you were going to be a lawyer. I told him, yes, but uncle, I changed my mind. And he said, well, why don't you go to school for that? And then if you decide you don't want to do it, you can then go and do this art. And I had the chance in that moment to be afraid, I think, of what it is my heart was saying to me, speaking into me, and do what felt safe. Or I could choose the thing that actually made me feel full.
Yes.
And I said, yes, uncle, or I could go into this first, and if it doesn't really fill me up the way I think it is, then maybe I could go and do this other thing. And I'm just really thankful that I decided to not succumb, to the pressures and the fears and the comfort that life could have maybe provided, and instead of went for the risky thing.
Yes.
That would make me happy, and it did.
Can you even imagine what life would be like if you had decided to be a lawyer instead of pursue your passion?
Absolutely not. I really cannot. I mean, first of all, talk too much in class, which I had been assigned in every report card since kindergarten, I would be that person in the office like, let me tell you this. I'm like, does she do any work? I don't know if I'd be like, what do you do here? Just talk? Are we paying you? I don't know if that's the jobs,
Yeah.
that
I feel like the
environment.
first brief, you'd be like, let me just sing you guys a song.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really want to write this paper today.
Exactly. Let's figure out, can we do a musical version of our closing?
Right,
Closing
right.
arguments.
This is a production. This is how we're going to present to the jury.
Yeah, exactly. So people would be like, we do not take this lawyer seriously at all. Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah.
man. And that's actually really tough, especially for first gen. I feel like going against what our parents wanted. My dad was like, I think you're going to be an engineer. And I did go into business, but still, like,
Yeah.
they want us to go down these set paths.
Yes.
So I'm surprised that your parents were supportive.
They were supportive, particularly my mom. My mom used to say when we were growing up, she said, my American dream is for you people to be able to live your dream. That was her dream. My mom herself, she was a really, really talented visual artist. And, I remember her saying one time when we were growing up, she said, if I'd grown in this country, I think I would have been an artist. And, I think what I'm probably most grateful for is that my parents really did take the limits off when it came to the possibilities that this country could afford their children that weren't necessarily accessible. Not that they didn't exist, but maybe weren't just readily accessible for their growing up in Nigeria. And, my parents were really unique, especially at a time when they came over and they were the first, and we played sports, we were playing instruments, and we're in the local choirs and things like this. And I think, which I'm really thankful for, I think that they were really great at noticing all of the many opportunities and gifts that we were going to have the exposure to that could make a full-shaped life. I think also another thing that they were really great at was it was less about assigning us a career. They certainly saw where our strengths were. My parents thought I was going to be a lawyer because I could talk a lot, as you can see. But, they were more about us committing our excellence to whatever it is that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that could be applied to whether it's the art, whether that's the law, whatever area of discipline you choose to pursue. I think those are useful tools that I could carry with me and still carry with me, frankly. My mother said all the time when we were growing up, but it really stayed with me when I moved to New York. She stopped the car, she turned off the engine, and she said, Uzo, just work hard. And I said, oh, yes, yes, Mommy, I know. She said, no, just work hard. She said, I've never heard of nothing coming from hard work. I don't know what will come. I don't know when it will come. But I know something will come if you just work hard.
Oh, I love that.
And I think that's the sort of commitment to excellence she had been training my siblings and I to really exercise and commit ourselves to that were so foundational in what I do now, how I pursue what I do now. And those are the sort of gifts I think came to me from that first gen experience.
And you wrote a whole book about your mom, right?
Yes, yeah, I did.
What's another thing that sticks with you from her?
Oh my gosh, so many things. My mother was truly an incredible woman. She was, the lifeblood and the backbone of our family. She was incredibly hardworking, wickedly smart, both academically and just quick-witted.
I feel like that's the Nigerian background.
Yeah. Oh, that tongue is sharp.
Right.
She could cut you with the razors in her teeth if she wants to, like she can. But she was so funny, spunky. My mother liked spunky women, and she was a spunky woman herself, And I think that was maybe one of the best things that she's taught me about is to take life seriously, but you don't always have to be serious, you know, to really have fun and to see the great and good and everything. My mother was an eternal optimist. And I am so thankful for her pouring that into me, because that's something I definitely believe in. I believe that there is always a reach towards a greater good we can all access. And I think the last thing, you know, that comes with being a spunky woman, my mom was very keen on her children really knowing their own identity for themselves, defending that with strong conviction and long spine, as far as being able to stand up for oneself, hold on to one's core values, do only what you believe in, and never lose spark to your passion.
Now that's a risk too, being able to stand up for yourself. Have you ever had to like, is there an experience you can think of now where you had to stand up for yourself?
Absolutely. I mean, right off the bat of that question, my mind goes to my gap. You know as well as I do, in Africa, other regions of the world, a gap is a sign of beauty.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I like it too. I got it for my birthday. I think, a gap is a beautiful sign, a wonderful sign of beauty. But I grew up here in the U.S., and the antithesis is often what's celebrated, right? And I wanted braces so badly, Terry. When I say so bad, I mean so bad.
Really?
Oh my gosh. When I was little, yeah, I wanted them so badly. And, my mom had bone-straight teeth, my dad had bone-straight teeth, and my sister had bone-straight teeth. I wanted it. My mom said, you see this gap? You have Anyol Cool Gap, is my mother's maiden name. She says, it's a sign of beauty, And she kept pouring that into me. I didn't believe her. I was like, she's like, don't you know in Nigeria, gap is a sign of beauty? And I was like, we live in Boston, Massachusetts.
You're like, but I'm not there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm in
here.
Boston.
I'm here. Help me. And I couldn't accept it when I was really little. It wasn't until my senior year of high school, when you're doing, those senior portrait. You remember you get your senior yearbook picture, and it's like, now you have the diploma like on the back, or like the weird tree like background, like the special.
Right. You're like tilting your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're like all of this. And so the photographer there, I wouldn't smile in pictures for the longest time, Terry, longest time. And the photographer said to me that he thought I had a beautiful smile. And for whatever reason, my mother hates this story, P.S. For whatever reason, I heard and believed him.
You believed him.
Yes, I believed.
I know she was mad. Like, I've been telling you this for all these years, and you believe him.
Yeah, believe him. This stranger.
But sometimes it's like that.
It's like that, but that's what I needed at that moment of my life, because then flash forward to now, I'm living in New York after college. I'm in a meeting with an agency, and I remember she had seen my work. She thought, you did great, great work, this, that, and the third, whatever she's saying. And she's interested in the two of us working together. And she said to me, now what about that gap? Are we keeping it? And I will never forget, she said, are we keeping it? First of all, she did not have one. Secondly,
so you're like, who is we?
Exactly, as if we're at a slumber party discussing whether we're going to close our gaps together, at Dr. Smith's or whatever. And this moment of what do I do? Sort of, what is the cost of this thing that I have? She's telling me to close it. Not closing it could result in my dreams not going to the full expanses of what I imagine for myself and hope for as an actor and an artist. Or I could stay just who I am, true to who I am. And I don't know what made me do it, but in a blink, I just said, yeah, we're keeping it. I'm keeping it. And I never thought about it again, and haven't ever, to be honest with you, ever thought about it again. And I think of that as an opportunity and a moment in my life where I stood up for myself, like my true core self.
Yes.
Not the idea of what someone wants myself to be, but who I actually am. And that, again, I think made it very clear for me that if I operate on that plane, I can always rest sure and confidently, and that what I'm doing is honest and authentic to myself. And when I started then finally working in this side of the business on camera, I was so grateful and remain grateful to my showrunner, Genji Cohane, who gave me my first opportunity. I said, I could close this if you think I need to close this, when I started working on a show called Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
And she said, no, I love it. Let's keep it. And I could have given myself away, not even knowing that that's what I had done. And I'm glad, I hope to never do that.
Wow. There's the scripture coming to my mind is your gifts will make room for you. And it's one of those things, like, even though, like, this is a God-given, like, who you are.
That's it.
Made room for you in other doors.
Yeah.
And you didn't conform to what someone else wanted you to be.
Correct.
And that's a risk in itself, like staying true to yourself and not conforming.
100%. Two things that I think about right now is a quote of my mom's and a quote of mine. Mine, which is, don't give away your special. Never give away your special. You don't even know sometimes that thing that makes you stand out. And it feels really risky to stand out, especially when you're younger and when nobody's maybe necessarily validating parts of yourself. But that special thing, that thing that makes you uniquely you, is the thing that's going to cause you to rise above the tide.
Yes.
So never lose that. And something that my mom said as I was growing up, and I love and feel even stronger in with every day, is be an original, never a copy.
Ooh, okay, Mom. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen, and it may not have been you, but somebody else who was trying to be like somebody else? They were being a copy, and
Yes.
it didn't work out for them?
Oh, many times. I think, listen, I think everybody's trying to get to the thing that's ultimately going to bring them closer to their happiness. And so I think all of us, whether it's me wanting to close my gap, whatever, I think everybody at different points attempts to do that. But I think why maybe it never really lands is because there's a distance, a gap between reality of oneself and the creation of oneself. And I think we all are on this planet for something that is uniquely destined for us. And I think the more you lean into that thing, the more you believe in that absolute truth, the closer you get to not only your purpose and destiny, but the thing that you're probably actually striving for, which is to be seen and to be happy.
Yeah.
Truly, truly.
Truly happy. And this makes me think of alignment, too.
Yes.
Like, sometimes when you're just out of alignment, then you're also not really being true to yourself. 100%. Has there been a time recently or any time in your life where you felt like you were out of alignment?
I mean, definitely, yes. What am I prepared to share?
Right. As vulnerable as you would like to be. We're here to be
absolutely, deep. Absolutely. No, absolutely. I have felt out of alignment. Let me think. I'm trying to think of something that's absolutely, I think as an actor, we constantly are wondering what the next thing is. This is such a mobile life, art making as an artist. So there's no direct, clear path from, you take A to B and then B to C and then C to D. Mm-hmm. And so I think definitely, moments where you feel unaligned happen professionally. I can speak to myself, right before I started working in film and television, I was doing theater for a long time, and I felt, the risk worth taking. I felt too afraid, if I'm being honest, to leap into the film and television space. Theater, for some reason, which I don't know why I felt this, because it's not necessarily different, but for some reason felt more accessible. It felt scarier, riskier to step into a space like film and television with my full lips, broad nose, African name, and gap teeth with no proximity to Western identity.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see that. And trying at points to fit myself, to fit all of that into something that was not for me, to try and sit at a table that was not dressed for me. Definitely felt out of alignment. Trying to raise my voice up so that it did not have the full weight and embodiment and color of the generations of aunties and ancestors who had come before me, rooted in the earth, and really sort of dropping all of that to let my voice sit exactly where it sits,
Yeah.
and to know that that is enough.
There's so many things that are coming to my mind right now, especially this idea of sometimes what we have and we're comfortable with, and then we're trying to leave to do something new, but it's going to feel scary
Yeah.
because you haven't seen it before,
Yes.
and then you haven't seen anybody do that thing.
Sure.
What would you speak to, or what would you say to someone who's going into a new space and they don't see anybody in that space that looks like them?
I would say if you're going into a new space and you don't see anybody that looks like you, I think there is an opportunity for you to firstly recognize that you may be the only one there, but that does not mean that you are, A, the only one deserving. So you can space create when you're in that space through your advocacy, through your conversations of people you know who are just like you, who are entirely capable, who are entirely honorable, who possess the same resume and abilities as you. That's one. And I think the bigger thing that I would say is that if you are the only one, I think it becomes your responsibility to take up the space of the absent. Meaning, it is not for you to cower in the space and feel undeserving. No, your job is to
Take up space.
take up space
Sit
for
up straight.
her and him and them who are not here,
Yeah.
so people feel you, us, there, and start to get comfortable with the idea of us being in that space, of you being in that space, because you deserve to be in that space. I think that's the number one thing I would say is for you to take up as much space as you want to.
And we're needed. If you don't see anybody there that looks like you, it's probably because we need you there.
Correct.
Like there's a reason why maybe potentially you want to go into that space. So as you say, we can bring up all the other people behind us.
100%. I think it's an opportunity to think of how to index the correction. You know, I think that's probably the thing that I would want people to consider, to start thinking through, okay, not, okay, I'm here, and so, you know, I can either lock the door behind me or let it close behind me and swing and kick somebody else, you know, on the butt on their way out. I think the opportunity is there to, okay, how can I be now an agent for change?
Yes. Yes. And then let's talk about this idea of giving up what you have in your hand already to go for something new.
Yes.
So you were on stages and you were comfortable, but now you have this new idea to go into film, and it's scary.
Yeah.
Like, what actually made you finally take the leap?
I mean, the truth is that what made me take the leap was I had started working with a manager who saw me in the play that I was doing at the time. And that manager was from Los Angeles, which I'm from the East Coast. And the manager had said to me, you know, had you ever tried working in film or television? And I said, no. And she said, well, I think you could, you know, do something there in that space. And honestly, I think because she was from Hollywood, it just made me consider it. And if I'm being really honest, it just made me believe that I could in a way that I just hadn't before. I didn't see my reflection staring back at me in any way. So I didn't think that there was an invitation for me in that space. But just because she was from Hollywood, I don't know where she, it's like, I didn't know anything about Hollywood
You're like,
really.
she's
but
amazing.
Yeah,
She's
she
from
must,
Hollywood.
literally, I was like, she must know. Like, that was my thought, truly. And so that gave me just a little invisible cape
Yeah.
that I would walk into rooms with wearing that I didn't even know I had. And that's not to say it wasn't hard, because it was very, very hard. But there was just this invisible cape on where I felt like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I think maybe I can do this. And that I walked in with that I didn't have before. And by some miracle, the opportunities to audition for film and television hadn't come to me but 3 times, I think, in that point that I'd lived in New York. But then for some reason that summer, all I did was audition for film and television. She told me that she didn't want me to audition for plays, and she didn't want me to take any offers. And I was like, well, lucky for you, lady. I'm not getting play offers, so we don't have to worry about
Like,
that.
we don't have to worry about that part. It's taken care of.
Exactly. And I wasn't making, a crazy living or anything. I was making, but it was my living that I was making. So that felt very risky at the time because I didn't know what I was going to do for money. I had my little
Now
nest
you're
egg.
going away from the thing that was providing some income.
Exactly. And
But you did it anyway.
I did it anyway. And that faith walk that is required to reach towards your true purpose is necessary, I think, when you're really, 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 really going after your passion. And that just so happened to be something that connected for me in that journey. But really, yeah, the truth of the matter is that it was that manager who just gave me that mustard seed that I needed.
Do you still keep in touch with that manager or know them?
I wish I did. She's actually passed away. Yeah, she actually passed away some years ago now. But yes, until she did. And I'm just forever grateful to her.
One of the things I'm hearing in your story is the importance of key people that believe in you.
100%.
Like there was the photographer and then this manager, and they told you that you could do something that you thought you couldn't.
That's right.
And now you have this imaginary cape. Are there any other key people that have believed in you?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I have to definitely shout out my junior, we're still very close, my junior year high school high school teacher, creative writing teacher, Sarah, her married name is Reuter now, but her Mealize to me still. And she's actually how I ended up going to performing arts school. Really? She was my creative writing teacher. Yeah, she was my creative writing teacher, and she was also the director of the drama club, which I was in. And one day she kept me after class. And I was really nervous because I've never been held after class before. It was like, I know I talk too much, but I don't get in trouble,
Right,
kind
you're
of.
like, are you about to call my mom?
Yes, exactly. I was so nervous. Like, my parents, what am I going to do? They're Nigerian, even though they're cool, but they're not that cool,
Right, they're not going to want to hear from you.
Not at all, not at all. And so she says to me, have you given any thought to what you're going to do next year in terms of colleges? And I said, yes, I'm thinking of applying to this school, and I think I'm going to go and do IR and then go into law. I said, okay. She said, have you given any thought about going into the arts? And I remember standing there looking at her, having no idea what she was talking about, because I really, even as much as my parents were keen to expose us to things, I really, truly did not even know that was an avenue, that you could go to school for something like that.
Because I'm sure at home that was never talked about.
No, and it wasn't talked about, keep them away from that. I think they themselves, you just sort of start to see some of the gaps between the immigrant experience where I just don't think they even knew such a thing as existed, And
that you could make income from it.
Yeah, I just
you could study that?
Correct. It was, you could see that chasm, and so I was looking at her, and it sounded like, if you're watching Charlie Brown and the adults are talking and it's like, wonk, 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 wonk. I was like, what is she saying? And she said, I really think you could do something there. And I just remember this one moment she looked at me and she goes, you know, you can go to school for this, right? And I truly did not. But when she said it, a light bulb went off in my head. And I said, that's what I'm supposed to do with my life. So that's one teacher. And then I really also have to shout out one of my college professors, John Wallace, who I'm very close with now as well, who I did not have the sophisticated music theoretical background coming into college in terms of the study of music, because I went to school for music, for opera, and I didn't have that rich depth of theory knowledge. And I was so frustrated in the beginning of our class and so challenged by it, and really didn't think I had what it took to make it with all these other children who'd gone, kids who'd gone, you know, to all of these programs. Yes, had all of these programs. And he was just truly exceptional of a teacher who convinced me not only of my abilities, but helped me to really draw out my own discipline, commitment to craft and exercise, and that he really made plain for me the understanding that there is nothing that you can't do, and would say that to me on enough occasions that I was so foolish to believe him.
Yes.
And he really changed my thinking moving forward, that nothing is impossible for you. You can do anything. Yeah, I would say that's a tornado of support that I had, along with many others. I've had teachers throughout I'm very close to a lot of my teachers. My second grade teacher, Miss Featherman, you know, teachers along the way have been quite instrumental in the formal sense, academic sense, but just even mentors as well.
Yeah.
I tend to gravitate towards them, have been quite instrumental in just a quick grab of the hand and a redirect.
Come this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, get back in line,
Yeah.
come this way. You can do it.
Come over here. Yeah, you can do this.
That makes me feel good. I was in education for a long time. So just knowing the impact that the teachers have made in your life, that makes me so happy.
Teachers are extraordinary. They have an incredible responsibility, and those who really understand that responsibility are extraordinary humans.
Yes. My book is out. Yes, it's finally here. It's in stores now. In all the places that you buy books, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, get a copy of The Risk We're Taking for you and a friend. If you all have been thinking about taking a risk, this is the book for you. Erin learns how to take smart risks that change her life, and you can too. See ya. Go get your book. Now, what about current day? One of the things, I'd love to hear about the people, but one of the things I heard you say is that like light bulb moment.
Yeah.
Have you had any like light bulbs lately?
You know, I think my daughter, I have a 2-year-old, I think she's constantly turning on the light.
You're like, oh, that was me when I was 2.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure that. I.e. tenderheadedness, thank you for teaching me patience. Thank you also teaching me how to apologize. Sorry, Mom, for all those moments. But
right, all the things I did not know I was doing.
Yeah, exactly,
I'm so sorry.
exactly. But she has been a light bulb in not only, I think, what is my strength, but a reminder of my committed values and what I hold as most important, which is family relationships. And she has been an incredible reflection because I can't help but see how much she is absorbing and being very sharply aware of not just how I want her to see me, though that's important, but how my example is teaching her how she sees herself.
Yes.
And that has been a huge bulb. And so the words you speak, the words you don't speak matter.
Are you telling her that she can do it the same way that professor would always tell you?
100%. My favorite thing about my daughter right now, this beyond her just being the best kid that's ever been born, is that
I'll take it. I don't have any
listen, I
kids,
have
so
to. I
she's
have
my
to
new
say-
niece.
Yes, exactly. She is.
She's got a new auntie.
Right, exactly. We'll take it. My favorite thing is how much she cheers for other people. She cheers for herself too, but I love how much she cheers for other people. You know, she always says, "You can do it." She has a little friend, Alice. Alice, you can do it. You can do it, Alice. Or, you know, Mommy, you can do it. You can do it. And then if once it's done, she'll be like, "Yay, you did it. You did it. Great job." She'll clap for herself. I was just watching a video the other day from when she was 13 months, and she just started walking, and she was walking, and she had this huge, big, fat bottle she was sipping out of. She sat down because she'd just taken a couple steps, and then she started clapping for herself because she gets clapping.
She's like, "Good job.
Good
I did
job.
that."
Good job. Exactly. Exactly. But I love when I see her clapping and cheering for herself, yes, but also for others. And I take great pride in that. My husband and I take great pride in that because I know that is her seeing how we
Yes.
clap, but also how we clap for her, clap for each other. And that it's like, that makes me very proud. And I always say to her after she
coming
does it, "Good
through,
job,
yeah.
David. Never lose that. Never lose that. You know, keep doing that."
That's actually a gift.
Yeah.
Like it's something I think people often overlook, but being an encourager is a gift.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think that comes, for myself, I can say, I think that comes from playing sport. I came from a sports family. Sports growing up, I think everybody at some point should play a sport. You know, this is my own personal philosophy.
I'm a sports girl too.
It matters.
It does.
Because you know
It
why?
does.
I say this. You can be ambitious. You can want to win. You can be competitive. You can be driven. None of those things are bad qualities. None of them are.
They're not.
What is different, though, is in sport, at the end of the game, you have to do something fundamental as a kid. And even in pro sports, you have to line up and you have to go say, "Good game."
Yes.
At the end, shake hand, and
Yep.
it's over now. The winner won. The other has another day to come out and fight. But you have to acknowledge that the truth of that, whether you can feel how you want to feel, you can be in your feelings. Nobody's saying you're supposed to be happy that you lost.
Right.
But you do have to be honorable and respectful. You can at least be that. You know what I'm saying? And
good
acknowledge
sportsmanship.
good sportsmanship.
Yeah, good
100%.
conduct.
100%. And so I think those are sort of tents that I would like to build for her. Yeah, get in there. She likes to get in there, and she's climbing and she's doing all the things. Yeah, but also look behind and be like, "So-and-so," or look up front to so-and-so and be like, "Yeah, you're
Who
doing
can
it.
I
Good
help?
job."
And good job.
Yeah, it's going to cost you nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
And some people don't realize that. They think that like if for them to win, someone else has to lose.
Yes.
And it's like, no, we can all win. We can all encourage each other.
You can encourage each other, and it makes other people feel good. There's a late professor from Carnegie Mellon, Professor Randy Pausch, who has a famous quote that I love so much that goes, "Never take a person's dignity. It means nothing to you and everything to them." And I pray, hope that I might manage life through that lens, but it's how you can it costs you nothing.
How to operate and make sure that you're still helping mankind and not just yourself.
Yes.
So let's go current day. And then I
Okay.
have some rapid fire questions,
Hit
but
me.
current day, so what are some risks can also be framed as like decisions that you're having a hard time making. So what are some decisions that you've been thinking about lately?
I think transitions, evolutions, this hairstyle this morning.
I think that was a very great risk. That was the one worth taking. It was very cute.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I liked it. I was happy with it. I've never done it, and I liked it.
So cute.
I think one of the things that I'm thinking about now is what more is my story? What else is part of my story? I think it can become, I speak for myself anyway. I think it's easy to find yourself in a track, and you can be in that track and love it and forget the other parts of yourself that actually put you on that track. And you can, I think what I'm now sort of rediscovering is the wide range of interests that I have and tapping into those fully. You know, we've all heard the expression, you know, life is not a dress rehearsal. We get one crack at this. And the time is ticking. And I literally have a clock in my daughter watching her grow by the second, telling me that time is moving. And I think what I'm right now sort of investigating is, what is the story of your life, Uzo?
Yeah.
What is the story of my life going to be?
What do you feel like are some skills that you've used and you've fully explored versus things that you haven't gotten to explore yet?
I think skills that I've used and explored that I love to read, and that's now applicable. You know, I have a production company, and so now I'm using that skill set to read a lot of materials, and obviously as an actor, I read a lot of scripts, things like that. I want and have set for this month actually to get more deeply into pleasure reading. Just not reading for work, just for my own pleasure, back into that again.
Well, I got a book for you.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
When you're ready to pleasure
I heard
read.
it's good. Yeah, it was great. Yes, exactly. I think also something that has always been true to me since I was a kid, and I want to feel come alive again, is adventure.
Yeah.
I've always been an adventurer. I spent a good deal of life at one point traveling and going to all different places and really, really loving that. I think when you become a mother, for a good amount of time, you have the responsibility of being home, which is, I get and I understand, and I do not regret any of that because that grew me up and was an adventure in another way.
Itself, yeah.
Exactly. But I also think that adventure, that feist hasn't gone away. And now I think where I'm at is trying to figure out how to deposit back into that container
Yes.
again, that fills me up in a way that I think actually would make me a better mother and a better human, frankly, because I feel full
Complete
and
full.
complete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's definitely something that I'm tapping. Now that I have this new rhythm of life back, I'm starting to feel those thoughts and questions come back in. Well, you know, I really loved to go
To do this.
to-
And
yeah, exactly. And it's like I'm very keen to
Do that
do that
again.
again. Yeah.
There's this, have you ever heard of Tony Robbins has these 6 core values?
Yes, I've heard it. Yes.
And like one of them is awe and wonder. And then they've got like significance, growth, contribution, and a couple others.
Okay.
I learned recently that one of my top core values is awe and wonder. And I get it when I'm traveling. And oftentimes, like when I'm starting to feel depleted or feel low or feel misaligned, it's because I've lost that awe and wonder.
Yeah.
Between that and growth,
Yes.
if I'm kind of in a place where I'm bored and I'm no longer growing, then I can start feeling stagnant.
Yes. Yep.
And I find that I grow and I have that awe and wonder when I'm going new places.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
I feel you on the travel part. Like when I'm not, then I feel a little like
Stuck.
stuck. Yeah.
You feel stuck, and I don't think life was meant to be stuck. I think we're supposed to be, not that we need to be like, you know, I don't want to be like nomadic, you know, but I want to.
And there's seasons for that.
Yes.
Like you said, there's like times where you can like be nomad and go all the, and there's times where you got to be home.
That's right. That's right.
But it's true.
That's right. I am diving more and more back into those things that make me feel full. And I want that also, you know, for my daughter. I think what I want her to feel is absolutely our connection, but I think how she might learn how to treat herself, not just necessarily be treated by others, though I think that's part of it, but how she might treat herself is also impacted by the lessons that I show her for how I'm treating myself. You know, my mother she was my hero, and was such a big force in who I am now, but such a big force in my life. And I know huge swaths of that has to do with how she treated herself, how she treated other people, which was exceptional, and the value she placed on certain things. You know, there was my mom, for example, I'm one of 5. She did not ever miss this routine that she would do every night to wash away the day.
Really?
Yes.
Well, tell me about it. I want to know this routine.
You know, my family comes from a humble background, but she had all these skincare products, Lancome products. My mom loved Lancome and Nivea. And she would wash away her makeup, but then she had a pan of just really, you know, hot water with a washcloth, and was almost giving herself, yes, of course, this cleansing, but it was almost like a nightly spa, you know, just a treat for herself. And then she would come out and do, you know, whatever she had to do, whether it was make the food or go to bed or look over the homework, you know, et cetera. But every night, and she didn't have hours in the day to necessarily cater to herself because she worked in all of this. But she also was not ready to relinquish a piece of the day to deposit into herself. And that stayed with me. I think that's where that return back to the adventure spirit of it comes from, that she needed that.
And she kept that for herself.
Yes.
And allowed herself to have it. And she showed up differently because she had that piece.
That's right.
And I love that even if you have a small moment for yourself, you just make sure that every part of every day you have a moment for you. That's something I'm learning from your mom.
100%, you know, and also, you know, and even as I'm talking now, I'm remembering it in the morning, she would go on a 5-mile bike ride every morning before the sun came up, and by the time she's coming home, the sun's coming up, but she just had those 2 bookmarks in a day where she was looking after herself a little bit, you know, and I think, that just kind of stayed with me. And even as I'm saying it, you know, obviously now I have to go and have a session with my therapist, but I'm like,
this is the therapy session.
Yeah,
this is it. She's going to be so proud of you. Therapist approved. No,
yes, and I have some of those Lancome products. You know, I love Nivea. That's what I wear, you know, for cream. And I do have that lined up. And I've found that as I've grown older and older, I take that more stock of that. Not, you know, from a skincare perspective, sure. But it's like there is something that I think something about that bled into me.
Yes.
Do you know that it doesn't have to be hours, but minutes of care that you pour into yourself? Yeah.
And you know what? I think in terms of risk, there's somebody out there that's like, I really want to do this thing for me, but I feel like it's selfish.
Yeah.
And I feel like what they're hearing from us is like, actually do that thing because it might help you show up better for the people that you're caring for and the people around you, and you'll show up better for yourself.
100%. I think specific to women, that is absolutely something we should be leaning more into. This idea of being selfish, I think, is not helpful to women. You know, women have been trained since childhood to give, but not to get. And I think that the more that we can get into the habit of taking in, that it's okay to receive. You don't just have to be an offering. You don't have to be strictly an offering to your job, to others, you can also pour into you, and that fills you up. You cannot give somebody something you do not yourself possess, you know? So if I don't have money, I can't give you money.
And if you don't have energy, if you don't have space or capacity,
That's right. Correct.
you can't give it.
Correct. And I think the idea of not being selfish a little bit with your space, time, and prioritizing, of yourself is dangerous. I
Yeah.
think particularly to women, and I think Black women especially are often called upon to pour out, and I don't know if I am a believer in that being either our personal or social responsibility.
Girl, the pressure and the weight on the Black woman sometimes can be overwhelming.
Yeah. Incredibly so. Incredibly so. I don't, just the existence, to be in existence, and I don't myself, I don't subscribe to that. I think we are queens. I think we are meant to be catered to and have given so much to this world, directly, indirectly, that I don't know if I believe it is to our benefit to pretend like we need to be or continue to be on the end of sacrifice.
Well, and I hear that deeply. That's why I'm closing my eyes. But then I also heard this idea of being catered to. And I know that you found love, and you said you found love a little later in life.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about that too, the risk of going into a relationship and finding love.
Yeah, I think that when I met my husband, it was the first time that I'd ever dated without expectation.
Really?
Truly. I didn't even know that the factory setting within me was a long-term outcome when I was dating. I think that's part generational. I think that's part cultural, that I was tuned that way going in.
Like, if we're going to date, this is for marriage.
Correct.
And we got to be in this all the way. We can't
Correct.
just date for fun.
Correct. And had never even, because of that, considered what I was even looking for. I really don't think I ever thought about what I wanted, what I needed. More was thinking about it, does the list line up?
Does he make a good husband
These-
versus
the
is this what I
criteria,
really
exactly, correct.
want? Wow.
And of course, a month before I met him was when it was this time many years ago, a year, and I said, I'm just gonna date just to date. And then a month later, I met him. Also true is that it was the first time I ever dated and I didn't lie. And what I mean by that is he asked me on the first date what I was looking for. And it is safe to say that every single time prior, I had said something to the effect of either, just want to hang out, looking for a good time, have fun, nothing serious, just figuring it out, hang out,
Yeah.
something like that.
Something not to scare them away.
Correct. With the hope that in enough months, you would be wooed by my easygoing nature or something, that you would then be convinced on your own accord
That you like me.
and
real.
want to invest in me. But here's the truth, Terry. Okay, the reality is, not that I don't think some of those people weren't garbage men. The permanent sanitation could cut me a check, the number of garbage men that I've dated. But the truth also, if I'm taking my own accountability, the truth also is I got exactly what I prayed for. I got exactly, words have so much power. I got exactly what I said I didn't want, in the hopes of being tricky and tricking you into loving me.
You said you didn't want anything
Think serious.
and
So
now
the
you
not
got
serious man
is what showed up.
And he gave me exactly what I said I wanted. That's actually the truth. Not comfortable to say out loud, but that is the truth.
But it's true.
That is the truth. Versus my husband, I actually told him exactly what I wanted from the first date. I don't know what gave me the confidence to say that. I also do believe there is silent transmission of energy that can come through, that's something about how he was also behaving that made me feel safe enough to be that vulnerable. I think those two things can be true simultaneously.
At the same time,
Yep,
yeah,
at the
two
same
things
time.
can be true.
That made it possible for me to say that with the confidence that I wouldn't be rejected outright. But I also do, just again, have to acknowledge that part of it was also me setting the table from day one to say, this is what I'm looking for. And he had delivered, has delivered, and I believe will continue to deliver on those objectives, things that my heart really needed, but also wanted to have in my story.
If you were talking to someone who's been waiting for a while you're talking to me. I've been waiting for a while for my person.
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
It's never too late. They're still coming. The story isn't written yet. You're still writing it. And I was in that place where I thought, I had gotten to the place where I could see my life as a single person, and I wasn't happy about it, but I was, let's say, resolved. I'd made peace with it. And then literally here he comes out of nowhere, and he actually is my person. He was written in the stars for me. I just remember that it's not done yet. And then I think the other thing that I would say is leave a little room for God.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Well, tell me more about the leave a little room for God.
Leave a little room for God. You have to have whatever you want to call your belief system, universe, nature, faith, God. That's what I call it. Leave a little room for the miracle, the miraculous thing, the thing that you cannot see because your eyes are too close to the lens. Just leave a little bit of room for life's miracle to work its way into the story.
What was that moment when you thought, God, you did this on purpose? This is the one that you sent for me.
With my husband?
With your husband, yeah.
I think it was our second date. Something I felt like maybe I was in that space of, just dating just to date. And even though I had said that very serious thing about what I was looking for, I still sort of felt like, well, we're just hanging out, not hanging out in the old sense I was meaning it, but, I'm going to be me. And I remember our second date, I showed up. I had a dress on, but I wore my sneakers, my sneakers with it. I had my glasses on and very little makeup. That's what I had on. And I remember a couple things. One, normally if I'd been asked, what do you want to do for a date? I would say, oh, whatever you want, very bark like a dog, kind of like coming to America, whatever you want. Yeah, exactly. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Whatever you like, sort of a thing. And when we were going out, I remember there was this festival in Brooklyn. I lived in Brooklyn at the time that I had been really wanting to go to, and it was the last weekend of it. And I just, for whatever reason, instead of not changing my plans, I said, well, I want to go to do this.
Yeah.
This smorgasbord, this food festival there. And he was like, okay, let's go. We met up. I was in that look I just told you about. And again, he was like, what would you like? Normally, I would say, something that's either not too expensive or some small little salad or something with a white wine. This is what I want. And I was like, I'm here for the lobster roll and a beer. That's what I want.
That's what I want.
That's what I came here for. That's what I want.
Yes.
Right? And we had that because that's what I wanted. I just was honest all the way
And
through.
you can't eat that cute, but it's
No,
what you want.
that's what I wanted. That's what I came here
Yes.
for. I'm here for this. I wanted to, I'm from Boston. I wanted to try that
That's
lobster
what
roll.
I-
They were been promoting,
yes.
right? And then the other thing was, I said it earlier, I can talk a lot, and I know that about me. And in the past, I would go on dates, and I didn't even know it, but I was kind of operating through a filter of really tailoring how much I speak, what I speak about, because I definitely have opinions and definitely have thoughts on things and don't mind sharing them and, want to speak about all the different things that I read about, et cetera, et cetera. And I would tailor myself. And for some reason, when we were out, I just remember I was just talking very much like myself. I had been on this big, long sojourn for 4 months, 5 months or something, traveling the world. And I was sharing all of it, unfiltered, unapologetically. And at one point, he looked at me and he said to me, you have me rethinking my whole life right now. And I said, my whole situation, that's exactly. He said, you got me rethinking my whole situation. And quote, unquote. He may deny it, but that's what he said.
Right. I remember.
He won't deny it.
Right.
He knows he said that. So you got me rethinking my whole situation. And I said, really? And I went back to talking about, and he said, did you hear what I said? And there was just a way he was looking at me that I knew it was different. And I said, yeah, I heard what you said.
He didn't want to just have fun.
No. And he's an amazing man, full stop. And I think one of the things among many of his high, respectable qualities as a decent man, a respectful human, an intelligent individual, and a loving partner is that he truly loves me.
Yes.
Just as I am. And that stayed with me, that just as I was that day, not done up, like no artifice,
no makeup,
nothing.
Yeah, tennis shoes, wearing whatever, getting whatever you wanted to eat.
Yeah, talking about what I felt
yeah.
talking about.
Being completely
That
you.
person is who he really loved and loves.
And see, I feel like you all both took a risk there.
Yeah.
He made you safe,
Yes.
and then you took the risk to show him and be your full self.
Yes.
And now you know that you have a relationship built on honesty and transparency, and just you can be your full self.
Correct.
I love that.
Correct. You want that, I think. He is, I've said it to him before. I said in my vows, he's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I don't just love him, I like him.
Yes. Michelle Obama said that about Barack. She was like, you know what? He's my friend.
Yeah.
And I actually like him as a person, even when I don't like him.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Well, they're telling me that we're out of time. So
Okay.
let me ask you a couple. It's still my show, though, so I'm asking all the questions. And I've had so much fun talking to you. I'm going to ask you a few, rapid-fire questions, okay?
Yes.
Now, these are a little tough.
Okay.
Ooh, here's a good one. What's a risk you think successful people are secretly afraid of?
Failure. Secretly afraid of. Successful people. Maybe being seen. Being seen. It's funny because it's, I think there's a balance. I certainly can feel this way, of letting people in. I certainly feel that, but it's actually when you do that, I think that you're probably the most free, you're so afraid. I think seeing your innards is a scary thing, but the reality is everybody has their things that they wish they did better, or, were stronger at, or, yeah.
That's good. I think there's this ladder that you're climbing, or at least I'm climbing, and sometimes when you get to a certain point, like you don't want people to see you in a different type of way or in a different light. And
Yeah.
then you're trying to make sure that like all your socials and all the things they see online are such a, like
Yeah, are aligned or
are
whatever.
aligned.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you know what? I actually cuss sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, y'all never see that, but I do,
Yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and truly knowing who I am and being vulnerable.
For sure.
So that can be the being seen.
Yeah.
All right. What's one thing people stay too comfortable in?
Their current position. Sometimes I think you can, and I certainly have, ooh, okay. So you can definitely get comfortable with comfort, complacency, this current station. You know, if you're a dreamer like I am or a risk taker, there's always another rung to reach for, and it can start to feel really comfortable being on the rung that you're on. And to reach for another one can feel so, make you so risk averse because you know what it took to get to that rung.
Yes.
It took work, it took sacrifice, effort,
Mm-hmm.
failure, all of it. But you'll be so much happier if you do go for it. I think that's probably something to do the unknown thing. People get really comfortable with what you know. The unknowns start to become the thing that feel terrifying.
So I feel like you thought of something specific there. Is there anything now that you're currently reaching for?
Yeah, there's a couple things that feel very scary to me right now, because I've never done them before. I feel overwhelmed by the idea of what change that might have on my life, what it will feel like to be seen or to have even dared, to have had the audacity to have tried for something as wild as this venture is looking to be. But I keep reminding myself along the way that, there was a time sitting next to you would have been wild and impossible to dream, but here we are. There's a time in my life when it would have felt impossible to even reach for the career that I have. And here we are now. And so I just have to keep reminding myself, like my professors and teachers have told me along the way, that my mom had told me along the way, that I try to tell my daughter, even now, to cheer for myself, that you can do anything.
Yes.
And as long as you do the work, something will come.
Yeah. And we in the book, the granny in the story gives this framework for taking the risk. She said, you do it afraid. Like, have courage, do the risk afraid, but then get clarity, figure out all the basics of it, figure out the expectations, figure out the numbers, then figure out caution. You know it's a risk for a reason. You might fail.
Yeah.
But you can think of some things to help with risk management on the front end.
Yeah.
And then find that edge, whatever it is that those people who've done it before have done. Like, find the people who are good at that thing you're doing and learn from them.
Yes. Yes.
And if you follow that path, no matter what the risk is, you can do it anyway.
That's right.
Because you know that, hey, at the end of this, the worst that could happen is I learned something.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to even borrow. I have a cousin of mine who tells me who's not afraid to try, and I love it about him. He says the worst they could tell me is no. That's the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's literally the worst thing. So I think, as you said, to do it afraid. I'm really interested in just doing everything that I ever dreamed of. And moved in this season of my life to just reach for, aim for, all of those things. And what comes, comes.
I'm so curious to know what it is, but
I'll
it seems
tell
like
you.
it's under
I'll tell you
wraps.
later.
Yeah. But I'm also excited for a year from now for us to talk again and for you to be like, yeah, I did that thing.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
And like we're seeing it, and at that time, it's not even going to feel like it was a risk anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
But
for
these
sure.
feelings that you have now in the beginning, you're like, oh, it's a little scary. I'm not sure, but I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with the?
Not at the moment, but I'm so glad to, have sat down with you. I love this book. I love that you're sharing, a story with people, viewers, about breaking free and to stepping fully into their possibility. And I think a lot of people will get a lot of value from that, which is going back to the beginning of this conversation. You're special and your unique purpose on this earth. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Uzo. Thank you for coming today and
Thank
spending
you
some
for
time
having
with
me.
us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for joining us on The Risk We're Taking. This has been Terry Gioma. I hope you were encouraged today, especially to be your authentic self. We'll see you next time.